and you're hearing a lot of positive things coming out from down there. McKegg was down there for a while, and he's come up and is providing some solid minutes for the Rangers as well. Di Giuseppe again. So you have these guys, who have gone down to Hartford, and now it's a positive place, and they're doing well. I think they're in third place now in their division, so they've slid a little bit, but it's turning into a positive place, and you could look at Chris Drury as for doing a fantastic job, sort of changing the culture down there. They brought in the new coach, and he seems to be doing all the right things down there as well. And JD, when he had come in, that's one of the things he said. He said, this isn't just about what's happening, at MSG. We're looking to change, what goes on, throughout this organization, whether it's in Hartford, whether it's with our prospects overseas. We're going to be checking in on these guys more often than we have, and we're going to support these guys along the way. So, and you really saw that. You saw that the team did not give up on Kravtsov when he went back to Russia. They stayed in touch with him, and they were able to bring him back. They didn't, release or get rid of Elias Anderson. He's still part of the organization, and Elias is sort of finding himself again. He has, I think, 11 points in his last 13 games over in the Swedish league. So he's sort of figuring it out again. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in training camp next year, because, the Rangers are hopefully still having conversations with him, being supportive of him, and hopefully they reap the benefits of that. So, you really just love the just atmosphere and the culture that Gordon and Drury and Quinn and JD have brought to this organization, have breathed into this organization. It's the Rangers are always first class, but in everything that they do. But it seems now from top to bottom, it's an organization a lot of these guys can be proud of, that they know they're going to be handled the right way, and the organization is going to do the right thing by them. So, kudos to those guys. Again, well deserved on the extension. And it's just why I'm so excited for this team going forward. Not just because of the run that they're on this year. I just think that they're building this thing correctly. They're always saying the right things about be patient, and it takes time. And they're right. You can't speed up. You can't cut corners with a rebuild. Once you start cutting corners is when you begin to fail. So I think that they brought a lot of these guys along slowly, and they've gotten a lot of criticism from fans because of it. Not me, because I understood, and I'm a smart hockey fan. But
hold on, I gotta get my throw up bucket again.
But I think that they've been very smart with this rebuild, very calculated in what they want to do. They have a plan, and they're sticking to it. And you saw the move to keep Kreider because they felt that he's going to help this team with this rebuild and still be a productive player when they're ready to win.
Can you believe he's not playing?
I know, it is insane. Like I said,
just imagine the luck we have.
I know, it really is, because if he was here, if he was still playing, again, you can't just say, well, if he was here, they would have beat the Devils, but, they probably would have beat the Devils. I don't know if they would have gone into this tailspin.
Probably would have beat the Blues that night too.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have, you said it before, they're 1-4 in their last 5, and those are the 5 games that they've played since Kreider's gone down. So, I mean, there's definitely a correlation there. I don't, that's not just a coincidence. So, it's been tough to see him go down. Like I said, that's something that would happen to the Mets. But, unfortunately it's happening to us. But yeah, it's, putting that aside, I think Ranger fans still need to be excited. Kreider will be back next year when I think expectations for this team will jump up. And guys, guys I mentioned before, guys like Howden, and Kakko and Lemieux, and there's going to be a lot more expectations on those guys next year. It's not going to be about, hey, let's see how these guys develop and go. Next year is going to be about winning. It's going to be about winning more games. Like I said before, like I've always been saying, not about wins and losses this year. It's going to be about wins and losses next year. But that's good. I mean, that's a progression. It's not about wins and losses to get a Stanley Cup next year, but it's going to be definitely more about wins and losses next year as they continue with this rebuild. So I'm excited. I know you're excited. Ranger fans should all be excited. The stability of bringing those two guys back. That you sort of have adults in charge here, and we're in good hands.
Yeah, well, except for fans who have bought the Capo Caco jerseys. Don't get too excited.
Man, relentless.
By the way, side note, we'll see Phil Housley on Saturday. He is the assistant coach to the Arizona Coyotes, to Mr. Rick Tocchet. So maybe they can steal him and bring him on back. I don't know how they're. I think
the Rangers
3 or 4 points out of a playoff spot. Actually,
the Rangers are usually pretty good at stealing defensemen or trading for defensemen from Arizona. So that fits right in with usually the Coyote to Ranger pipeline. So that's interesting.
So good stuff there. Yeah. So I don't know. We just gotta. I'm kind of grounded here tonight about this, and I'm trying to not get myself all kind of worked up because I really don't know. They're like our kids, Kevin, right? You have so much hope and promise for them, and they lift you up, and then they drive you crazy at times. And, this is what our Rangers are doing to us right now. But, hey, look, like I said, a lot of fun coming up. There's, a lot of games. I mean, I think more than anything, right? So you take all the stuff, and we're going up and down the lineup here, and we're talking about the future, and everything's in a good spot. But I think the one thing that we all have to kind of, you talk about, the game against the Caps the other night too, is like, we're all tuning into these games on a different level. They've got us tuning in because there is that potential for them to possibly get into the playoffs, or at least for the most part. Dealing with the Kreider injury, dealing with Shesterkin and Buchneva getting into the car accident. It's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks here. But then you could say that the week or two before that was kind of crazy when they went on the run there in the 9-10 games, and Shesty kind of took the spotlight there and everything else. So if you keep going backwards as far as how this season has gone. And here we are going out west to take on 3 pretty good teams here, 3 points out of a wild card spot, and then seeing your arch rivals, the Islanders, struggle, and seeing the Canes struggle a little bit. I mean, a team that I'm just blown away and impressed by is what Torts is doing with that Columbus team, with all the injuries that they're going through, and losing 2 of his big stars last year. That's just a trip in terms of what Torts is probably going to win the Jack Adams again. It's just unbelievable, especially if they grab a playoff spot, man. It's beyond me. So it's almost like you look at us as a rebuild and as a team here, and fans of a very young team, and we got the bright stars, and we're getting the pizzazz here from Mika and Panarin and everything else, and we got the great goaltender situation too. Could you imagine, put yourself in the shirts of other teams, in terms of what they're dealing with, teams that might have bigger expectations. I mean, Montreal's in shambles. Toronto's gonna, they've got so much money, so much talent, everything that they've gone through, and they're most likely going to get into the playoffs here too, because the Panthers are, they're only a couple points behind us. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is, us as Ranger fans, we're kind of, we're chilling out. We didn't go on a 20-game winning streak or undefeated streak like the Islanders did, and now they're out of a playoff spot, and we've got a chance to get in there, and if we don't get in, big whoop. We're looking good, happy days. I think as fans we're going to be disappointed, but as mad or as frustrated as we get if they don't get in, Kevin, I mean, man, it's going to be like, God, can't wait for training camp. Can't wait to see what happens next year. Can't wait to see what happens here in a year or two in terms of the cap and what they do with Hank, and if they can get rid of Stahl and they can free up some more cap, whatever the heck it is, whatever they can get or go. Bottom line is that we're figuring out a lot of their deficiencies as far as the forwards and the support players, and you can see the talent in Mika here and Panarin as far as having those 2 guys up front, and Kreider's going to come back right now. So we've got 3 really solid star, young forwards that that we can build this team around and get a couple more guys that can, add to that and hopefully a couple more free agents. The defense, like I said, you've brought it up too, beyond, Cam and a couple of the other young guys down in the farm system. And who knows what happens here with a deal or two and who else comes in. Defensively, this team is ahead of itself. We've got the offensive defensive guys in terms of Fox and Tony D. But if we can shore up the other side and get another one or two guys in here like Trouba, big guys, steady stay-at-home guys, whatever, to protect the net a little better or just kind of enhance what's going on there. Lindy maybe moves on. And as far as goaltending, we're set. Whether the Rangers decide to, move Georgiev and Hank or whatever the heck goes on there. But one way or the other, we're set there. So there's only a handful of pieces here that we can get. Quinn's getting another year under his belt. We're all seeing how he kind of manages things. He's a really good guy as far as how he's managed this team in his second year and everything else. And he's, like I said, he's got them 3 points out of a possible playoff spot with the last couple of weeks. That's been crazy with the goaltending situation all year long. And we're having fun with it. So, keep the White Claws flowing and enjoy this. And I think it'd be super, obviously, for them to get the playoffs because, KD, if they could get that, and I wouldn't even care if they – obviously, we'd be even more pissed if they got knocked out of the first round. But, man, if they could get in there, man, and squeeze a little playoff experience for guys like, the young guys that we have on this team right now, guys who haven't been there, it'd be just unbelievable. And to see Shesty and maybe Georgiev get a chance to maybe stand on their head and go up against, some of the top teams there in the playoffs would be something else. But, hey, buddy, I'm feeling pretty good, man. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing that you were saying is that, even if they don't make it, we're in such a good spot still. It's good to be in a position where this is sort of our first kick at the can instead of the last kick at the can.
Oh, yeah.
So,
we wouldn't be doing this show.
Well, that's right. I'm like, let's wait till they turn it around. But yeah, I mean that's the great thing about where we're at in the process right now. I think I said it last week. I bet you 90% of the fan bases would love to have, their team in the position that the Rangers are in right now. A young core, a couple of superstar players, and stockpile of draft picks coming up, and so we're in a real good position. Even if we don't make it, it's not like wow. That's a real disappointing end to the season, like you said. I mean, you almost can't wait for training camp as soon as the season would end. That's how excited you are for the next year and the future of this team, because this team is going to be that much better next year. I mean, they just are. You just know they're going to be. So. Yeah, it's exciting times to be a Ranger fan, and we get the added bonus of meaningful games in March.
Absolutely, and maybe me and you will get an extension here at Go Hockey Media, and Go Rangers Radio can go on here for another maybe 3 to 5 years. You'll obviously have to give me your demands, KD, and to keep you on here.
Well, we're gonna need that White Claw, advertising dollars to come in here, to sustain the show. So and to get my salary demands, in order. But it's funny. I joke around about and I've mostly been saying it on Twitter about the whole like White Claw thing. Like it's sort of like the good luck charm or whatever, and you got to be drinking it beforehand. But really, I was going through the calendar of the games and which games I was actually drinking White Claw for, and the ones that I haven't, I really think there's something to it, Paulie, because, I didn't have any during the 2 Philly games and the St. Louis game. Then I went out and I drank like a full 12-pack during the Washington game. And then I was still hungover on Saturday for the Devils game, so I didn't drink it, and they lost again. So I definitely think there's a correlation there between White Claw intake and the Rangers winning. So I'm going to have to
get your act together.
Yeah, what I'm saying is we need to start one of those like donation pages. What are those pages called that they have online?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, we got to do a GoFundMe page. Paulie's going to set it up. Just send it, for me, not for Paulie, for me. So I could, unlimited White Claws, and the Rangers are going to win every game for the rest of the season. We're going to win the cup. It's guaranteed as long as I'm drinking.
And how